Hello and welcome to Cinder Shadow Gaming with your host Cinder Shadow. So this is going to be a video on the ongoing coverage of the Blizzard situation as a few more developments have happened. First off, we have, which was supposed to be today in New York City, a Nintendo event for the release of Overwatch on the Switch. Now, Blizzard has turned around and Nintendo put out a tweet stating that the event was canceled for today. This was as of yesterday that was supposed to happen. This announcement comes only about 2 weeks after they had originally announced that this would happen and be part of the event. It was set up before the Blitzchung situation, and it's very disheartening to see them walk this back, as Nintendo had voice actors that were supposed to be able to do meet and greets with fans of the Overwatch game. That in itself is kind of sad that they turned around and walked this back under fears of protest and everything else. If they really wanted to stand and say there is no political bias here, I think they would go ahead and just let people protest where they want, because this type of protest would give them an idea on what they're going to be facing for BlitzCon here. There is going to be a large-scale protest that it's starting to ramp up even more after today's news. Now, previously we had discussed the American students that held up a Free Hong Kong boycott Blizzard after the Blitzchung announcement that he was banned. They did it during a sanction match event, and it took approximately 8 days for Blizzard to finally turn around and ban that team after such event that there was nothing that was being discussed from Blizzard or the team. Before this ban happened, though, Blizzard did revoke any camera and post-game interviews that may happen at the university that this team was at. They have now been handed a 6-month ban, and I honestly think this is because of the outrage of the BlitzCon situation and how people were like, well, how are you giving him a ban and not this American team getting a ban in this? And once again, they stated rules upon Blizzard's discretion that they deemed disruptive to the event. Now, was it disruptive to the event? No. They put up the sign, and the people that were producing the stream cut away from it. That was as disruptive as it got. And what did they get for that trouble of putting up that sign? Well, they got a 6-month ban. Now, before that ban came into place, the team had said, no, we're not doing anything with this game anymore, and they decided to walk away from Hearthstone completely, and now Blizzard's coming out with a statement saying that they get a 6-month ban on top of all of this. I honestly think it's from pressure from the fan base why that 6-month ban came down on that university, and is this almost too late? Should they have done this a little bit earlier? And I think they should have turned around, and instead of quietly doing it overnight, sent via email, they didn't even phone the team or anything like that. They just sent an email saying you've now received a 6-month ban. So there's a little bit more going on there. I don't, honestly, for them just to get a 6-month ban 8 days after the fact, this was something that should have been done right away. Because if they had done it right away, you wouldn't have had this controversy, and you wouldn't have the fans sitting there going, well, you do it to one person, not the other. And this also brings into light what's going on with Blizzard and esports companies and stuff like that, because we have other very political things, like in June when it's a certain Rainbow Month, with all these companies that are out there just to make another dollar on the backs of these people that are sitting there and wanting to fight for some rights of their own. And I know from things I've heard in around that community, they don't stand up for everyone that's in that community. It's really, these companies are just looking to make a buck, and that's the latest thing when June rolls around. When it's like February with Valentine's Day, people sit there and they go out and they buy flowers, they buy cards, they buy teddy bears and chocolates, but it's all from the corporations. It has nothing to do with, yes, it's February and it happens to be close to spring happening, which is where we get the turn cabin fever from. So, that's kind of where that is, but it's one of those things that it's the companies that are solely making profits off of people and the thrill of the month, I guess. With how this situation has unfolded, I don't know how Blizzard can recover from something like this in their rules, because they have that statement of at their sole discretion if they deem it disruptive or not. It takes it away from the game. But all of these separate things that these corporations turn around and try and make a dollar off of takes it away from their gaming aspect, and it no longer is about the game, because it all comes down to what makes us the better buck. And this is where the controversy really lies, and why there is such problems in the gaming sphere as we speak. Now, I did find an article today where they were talking about the way people are reacting to all of this, and I feel that they kind of missed the mark on the way it comes. Because at the end of the article, they say, in the end, it comes down to Blizzard enacting on rules that were set in place well beforehand to ensure sponsorship and fan base security. However, what started as someone saying the wrong thing at the wrong time has now turned into morality debate. The Hong Kong protests have turned around and become globalized because they're now being subjected to extradition and having to face Chinese government and just get pulled away because they look at the wrong thing at the wrong time or say the wrong thing at the wrong time. They're forcing people to have their faces scanned to even access internet now. And if you don't have a good enough social credit score in China, you're no longer allowed to access the internet or even travel through their trains or their airports or anything like that. It's complete control by the government, and the Hong Kong people have been free for years of that because of treaties that were signed long time ago, but now that time has come where they're being released. Look at back at Tiananmen Square. The people that reported on that situation had to smuggle out what was going on there, and that was one of the things that has shaped the human generation of that time, was that those reporters that risked life and limb to get that information out to the public. And that's kind of what's going on here with the Blizzard situation. People are willing to stand up for what they believe in, but at the same time, they have a company that is kind of bringing everything down upon them and saying, no, you can't do that unless you're going to make us money. So where does everyone stand in that? And that's where the morality in this factor really comes into play. Was the no banning of the American students part of the problem? Yes. Did it bring up more of an outrage? Kind of, because people were able to point at it and say, well, you didn't ban them, yet you banned this person. And now they've turned around and banned them and kind of corrected where they were, but now you're still being banned for simply even holding up a sign that says Free Hong Kong. Is that really what you should be getting banned over? Are they cheating at the game? No. And we're seeing within Magic the Gathering where people are cheating a lot, and people go on to win these massive prizes, and yet nothing truly happens to these people that are cheating. And that's more of a problem in the Magic world. But in the Hearthstone and Blizzard world right now, it's, if you're not making us enough money, we're going to ban you. Or if you're doing something that's going to look negatively upon us, we're going to ban you. And that should kind of be the case. But shouldn't they still have the right to be able to just wear a t-shirt that says, like, censored on it, or Free Hong Kong or something like that? What's next? Like, literally, what is next? Are we going to have a Hearthstone champion that wears a t-shirt that says Free Hong Kong, and he's going to receive a 6-month ban for wearing that t-shirt that was also probably made in China? So there's so many questions here, and so much deep thought that goes into the way these bannings are coming down and how it's negatively affecting the company. And I think Blizzard needs to either come out and say, listen, you're not allowed to speak about this, you're not allowed to speak about this, you're not allowed to speak about this, or you're allowed to speak about whatever you want. Plain and simple. And the rulings that they have set in place don't cover that because they're vague. They're written in such a way that if they take any offense to it, you're banned. Now, 6-month bannings for Blitzchung and the American players, that seems very over the top. I would say maybe a 30-day ban if it comes down to it, and don't do it again. In all honesty, would you go to jail for something like this, for holding up a Free Hong Kong sign? You shouldn't. Why would you? And that's kind of where the morality stands. People are being killed and injured very hard and very harshly day after day after day in China right now, in Hong Kong. And you got to sit there and go, well, it's not right. And where do you stand up against the tyranny that the Chinese government are bringing down on the people of Hong Kong? How do we across the world do something about it? And I think that's where the situation with Blizzard, people are able to rally it, and Blizzard is tied to social media very well, where the people of Hong Kong are restricted from social media. And I think that's where part of the problem is with all of this. You see Blizzard, you're able to react to it immediately and say, no, what you're doing here is wrong. And that's kind of why things have blown up in Blizzard's face, where if this was something that happened to the Hong Kong people, they would be beat in the streets, shot, or killed. So where do we stand? I honestly think the people of Hong Kong deserve the freedom that they've earned, and I think it's a basic human right to ask for these freedoms. And I don't think anyone is morally wrong holding up a sign saying Free Hong Kong. Until Blizzard comes out and states it directly, where they're going to say there is going to be no things in our streams, around our game, no flags being held up in response to either Free Hong Kong, China, nothing. If you want nothing in the game that responds to the way people react to, then you can't have any of it in the game. And we haven't ever seen that. We've got people that'll screech and say, we need more representation for this marginalized group in these games, but that in itself is a political agenda, and that's why people are so outraged about this, because people literally just want a game that they can play and not be pandered to, and that's it. Anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in to this update on the Blizzard situation. There will be more. I'm going to try and cover this as much as I can. Obviously, with the BlizzCon going to be at the end of the month, we'll sit here with our bowl of popcorn and anticipate the protest that's going to happen there. Will it turn into a riot? No, I don't think so. It is looking like everyone is strongly pushing towards a very peaceful protest there, where people are asking umbrellas, or they're going to wear t-shirts or stuff like that, or even Winnie the Pooh costumes, because that is the meme of the month. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time when I have another update on the Blizzard situation.